Hello YouTube, this is Adam doing a review of the Alienware M11x R3. This is a model I've had for about a month now. It's a refurb that I got off eBay. I got it with the Intel Core i7 CPU running at 1.7 gigahertz, turbo boost to 2 point something. I outfitted it with 8 gigabytes of RAM and a 750 gigabyte hard drive, which is almost completely filled. Got it here coupled with my Logitech G9X mouse, and I have to admit I am very impressed with the gaming prowess of this bad boy. I've got a lot of games installed on it right now, 125 out of my 372 library, as you can see here. Lots of Steam games, and it runs most of them very well. I've tried most of the latest games. You can see some tests that I'm going to post here. I've got Battlefield 3, Max Payne 3, Assassin's Creed, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 gameplay videos coming up. I'm sure I could go through the list of all the ports on the side here and all the inputs, but if you want all that crap, look at a spec sheet, in my opinion. Just want to give you guys some impressions and thoughts on the machine. It's a wonderful little device, weighs 4.5 pounds, incredibly portable. If you're looking for average battery life on a custom-made balanced power plant I get around 4 to 5 hours of good usage. That's with the brightness set at 72%, and the Alienware FX turned off. I like my nice red custom design here. You all know you can change that to almost any color on the planet. Just want to give you guys a feel of what it's like to actually own this thing and what it's really like. This texture here is a plastic. It's a textured plastic. The mouse pad is these tiny little, almost rubberized, plasticky bump feel to it. The buttons have a great, almost silent click to them. The keyboard has very soft sounding keys to it, very light touch to it. There's hardly any difference in the keys as far as the spacing in between them. They're all very highly packed together and they're all very smooth. There's a very, 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 very light bevel to it almost. There's a slight curve to each key where the edges feel just ever so slightly raised up. It doesn't help all that much, but I'll take what I can get. As you can tell, this is a cramped keyboard. It goes edge to edge with hardly any spacing off to the sides of it. Here I am. As you can see, I brought up Battlefield. I was looking online for some good matches to test later to show you guys. My G9X mouse works amazingly well for it. Probably the best mouse I've ever had. Again, it can run most current gen games at max settings. Again, I say current gen when I mean probably around most console port games. Some games that are optimized for the PC that really shine are Max Payne 3 and Assassin's Creed 2. We'll see that later. As far as, let's see, the top of it, this is a very soft feel, great texture. It's not necessarily a rubber, but it almost feels like it. I can't describe it. It's very smooth. The alien head lights up here when the screen is on. So as you can see, it's on when the screen is on, but when it's turned off, the alien headlight goes off, so keep that in mind. Another thing to note is that this screen is incredibly reflective. I don't know if you can tell to see my reflection coming off the back of it, although yes, I do have most of the lights on in my room to get good lighting for this machine. It is very reflective. My room is normally very dark, which is why I don't mind glossy screens, but this is one of the worst ones I've ever seen. It's also not the greatest screen as far as colors go. I had to boost the saturation by about 10% using the integrated graphics card. I'm using the 301.42 WHQL drivers. They work amazingly well with this machine. Nvidia does some great job with their driver support, and I'm really proud of them for that. Let's see, there's other things you guys might want to know for this machine. My refurb model came with did not come with the Killer Instincts wireless card, so I can't attest to the performance or the signal strength of that. But in my house I do run a wireless and high speed, and they gave me probably the crappiest little card they could give me, so it tops out at only 65 megabytes, as you can see there. 65 megabytes a second. I do run FiOS in my house, 35 over 35, so I get about the same download speeds over Wi-Fi that I do over Ethernet. So it's a good thing about wireless N and the card. I'm about 3 rooms away and it gets full signal strength. So it's not as good as my M17x, but it is not terrible, which is good. As far as picking up fingerprints and cleaning it, only the screen picks up fingerprints. As you can see here, there's these little rubber feet that the screen lays on. And if you look up here, where is it? There it is. That's where the rubber hits the screen. It makes this residue on here, and you can scrape that off, but it kind of sticks on there. It's the only thing that really pokes out at me. Up at the top here we got the camera, and there's a little tiny dot, I don't even think you can make it out, of the microphone right next to it. This is the underside of the machine. This is the air vent. As you can tell, the Alienware FX lighting comes through the fan here. This is the fan at a really low speed. On normal usage, on a balanced mode, the fan will turn off almost completely. I'm running it in high performance right now just to make sure that the light comes on. I know you can change that in your power settings. Another sweet feature is this battery indicator here, which lights up these little lights whenever each light corresponds to, I don't know, a percentage of the battery that's lit up. Got your speaker grills down here. The speakers they're okay. It comes with a great software that lets you boost the volume for it, because by themselves these tiny little tinny speakers don't really have a whole lot of punch, but I found out that I was able to actually just max out that volume boost in that program setting, and I only need to turn up to about 50% now. So pretty happy with that. The fan will get really hot and really loud when it's on full blast, pump out a lot of heat through the back here, so there it goes. As you can tell, it just stops spinning. That's what it's normally like when it's idling or when you're doing light internet browsing or text typing. By itself, this laptop is almost dead silent. It's only after you play a game or do something intensive like I was doing not too long ago that the fan even comes on at all. But when it does, and if you're doing something hardcore, that fan will sound like a little mini hairdryer. It's true. Okay, that's it for about looks right now. The M11x is a sweet looking machine. I'll admit, taking this bad boy to a coffee shop and running it is really nice to see everyone just peek over and look at this tiny little badass rig, especially if you're running something that really shines and pops like Max Payne or Battlefield or something like that. One of the reasons why I decided to get this machine was it can run full blast without downclocking on battery, which is a true amazing feat for Alienware. I applaud them. It's the only gaming notebook I know that actually does that without downclocking the GPU or the CPU on battery. Default, this bad boy sucks up about 65 watts of power, and the battery is a 65 watt an hour battery. Therefore, you can turn everything on. You can turn the screen to max brightness, you can have the keyboard lit up, and you can have your graphics card running and your CPU running, and Turbo Boost will still stay enabled. The GPU will stay at max clocks, and you can run this thing in gaming mode, disconnected from a wall, just you and a mouse, or even you without a mouse attached if you want to run something like Diablo or something non-FPS related. And it'll run it. It'll run it like it was plugged into the wall. Granted, your battery life will be like maybe an hour or so, but hey man, it's awesome. This is an audio test of the speakers running about 50% loudness. I'm going to turn it up here in a second to max. As you can tell, they get very loud indeed. Good sound. I've decided to run Tron for its bass levels, but there's not a whole lot of it here. Turn it back down again. about 20 right there, and yeah, they are good sound. It is. For normal usage in gaming, I turn up to about 50 to 70. Okay guys, that's everything I can think to tell you about the machine itself as a machine. Then we're going to do some gameplay tests, and then I think that'll be about it. Okay, here we are in Assassin's Creed 2. I'm going to do a little gameplay demo for you real quick. I'm going to load up my last save here. This is incredibly early in the game. I have all the settings maxed out in the game with 4x anti-aliasing enabled. We're going to see here how well the CPU holds up. Top right, I'm running fraps. You can see that looking at the sky, I'm getting almost 60 frames. Looking at the people, high 30s. Game runs very smooth here. There's no hiccups or glitches. Most of the time in this game you're looking at wall faces anyways, so not a whole lot of detail. Let's get up higher so we can see some more geometry. Running at 40 frames a second now, high 30s. The i7's really holding its own here. The fan isn't running very fast right now, very high, but it will after an extended period of play. I've got the audio at 50%, so once it finally does kick in, you will probably hear it over the sound of the laptop. Beautiful landing. Let's take it like a champ. Some of my avid followers. And that's Assassin's Creed 2. Okay, and here we are doing an M11x test of Max Payne 3. All settings in the game are set to high. There is a very high setting, all except for tessellation, which is turned off. Ambient occlusion is set to SSAO, not HDAO. And fraps up top in this sequence here are averaging about high 30s, low 40s. It's running very smooth and responsive. I have no MSAA on. Instead, I'm using just FXAA. It is running in DirectX 11. Most sequences of the game run about this speed. It's incredibly well optimized. I will gladly hand it to Rockstar on that one. Did a great job coding this game. Very responsive controls, not sluggish even a little bit. It utilizes the GPU very well, which is great for this little machine because it's not limited by its low voltage CPU. Here we are, guys, running Modern Warfare 3 with every possible graphic setting maxed out. Turn the volume down just a bit. We're getting very solid frame rates, about 40 frames a second, which makes the game look like it's butter. There's no lag here. There's no stuttering, no unusual glitches, no nothing. I've got anti-aliasing jacked up, I've got anisotropic filtering, I've got ambient occlusion, I got everything turned on. And I've also got the suck turned up pretty high. I am sucking. I'm pretty sure I'm running this on like Recruit or Easy or the lowest setting. In some sequences, like right here, I'm getting up to 60 frames a second, high 50s. Big action scenes get around 40 though. And here we are running Rage with all the settings turned up, 4x anti-aliasing. We have GPU transcode on, high anisotropic filter. One thing we do have off is texture detail. It says I don't have enough cores to run. I assume it's asking for a quad core, but I don't know what the deal is with that setting. I know it has nothing to do with the actual texture resolution. It's some sort of filter that's put on top. As you can see, it's Rage, so naturally it's running at 60 frames a second almost all the time. As far as the poppin' goes, I don't have it. The GPU is doing a very good job of handling that. Granted, this is not a very intense sequence here, but it is staying at 60. Alright guys, this is the coup de grace. This is Battlefield 3 running on my M11x. It's a giant 64 player match on Caspian border. I have all the settings set on medium except for texture, which is set to high. I have ambient occlusion turned off. There's no SSAO, no HBAO because they destroy my frame rate. I have motion blur turned off. I am pretty awesome at this game, unlike Modern Warfare. Right now my frame rate is averaging mid-20s to low 30s, depending on what I'm looking at. High 20s, mid to high 20s. I just got owned there. But overall, Battlefield's the only real multiplayer game I care about. I like it looking good. The great thing about the game is it's very scalable. It looks great on most settings, even on low. The game runs it a lot better on low. I highly recommend that you don't turn on MSAA anti-aliasing, because using its deferred engine, that will murder your frame rate. If any of you are out there running it right now wondering why you're getting crappy frame rates, that's probably why. Motion blur also isn't very nice to the M11x. The 540M, I don't know if it's that or if it's CPU that is bound to motion blur, but I don't know if it does handle it pretty well. One trick I do use is an Nvidia control panel. I turn pre-rendered frames all the way down to 1 pre-rendered frame. For some reason that makes the game seem a lot more responsive. I know that was a big thing with Battlefield Bad Company 2. It like doubled whatever performance you were currently getting. See, not a whole lot else. It runs pretty well on Caspian border. The new maps, the close quarters maps, don't run as well. I don't know exactly what that was. I think I might have had SSAO turned on for those, but again, high 20s, low 30s. That's what you expect. If you run the game on low, you can expect around 40 frames a second. But I like medium. I think it's a good balance. Looks a little bit better than console quality. Again, just to reiterate, I'm running this at native resolution. Okay, so that's my review of the Alienware M11x R3. I think it's totally worth the money. It's a great, amazing portable machine. I think it's so much more worth buying two of these bad boys than buying the stinking Razer Blade, because that thing is a ripoff. This thing really is a truly portable gaming laptop, and Alienware's done a great job with the design of it and the performance that they're able to squeeze out of it. The fact that you can run it disconnected from the wall at max performance is truly amazing. I applaud them for their efforts on that. The inclusion of the i7 processor is a nice touch, although it's not that much powerful if you ask me over the theoretical performance of the i5. I wouldn't know specifically, but most other reviewers out there say that they're about the same. The 540M really holds its own though as far as staying powerful during and keeping those high frame rates during modern games, so gotta love them for that. I paid about $1,100 for mine, and really kind of disappointed they decided to discontinue it, but you can find refurbs and old models for sale on eBay and the internet, so keep your eyes open for that. And that's about it. Alright guys, thank you.